broke down the 6,000 psychological. So we have seen massive selling in the US markets, even though the Federal Reserve have cut rates the third time. Why are we seeing 2 to 3% sell down in the market? And more importantly, what is the outlook for 2025? Hey guys, Joey here, Dr. Retail Trader in Philips Securities, and in this video, I'll be diving into the key markets, right? The Dow Jones, the S&P 500 index, the Nasdaq, and even Singapore's Straits Times index to see where we right now. Could there be an opportunity to get in on dips for some of the new support levels that have came out? And where could we potentially see a rebound too? And why you might want to think about bargain hunting in this weakness as well. So if you want to know how the market is doing, make sure you watch this video all the way to the end. So let's go into Dow Jones right now. One of the main reasons for the heavy sell down in the markets is due to Jerome Powell, right, the Federal Reserve chairman, actually stating that despite cutting rates the third time just yesterday, right, going into 2025, they are going to slow the pace of rate cuts. So people are expecting about 4 rate cuts next year, but now he mentioned that probably only 2 rate cuts, and that's where the market got freaked out, right? Because people are expecting more, and it comes in below expectations. And whenever there any talks about rate cuts slowing or inflation numbers remaining sticky, remaining high, that's where we can see a sell down in the markets, right? And that was the reason why we sold off heavily 2 years back when we first started the rate hike. So this could be a temporary pullback in the markets, whereby it could lead to some potential opportunities as well. So I think Jerome Powell just wanted to take a more cautious approach, right, in terms of cutting rates. They do not want to cut rates too fast, and it leads to inflation going back up. And with Donald Trump becoming the president in January 2025, that's where Donald Trump might actually introduce tax cuts, tariff hikes, and all that might lead to more inflation. So I think the Federal Reserve just want to take on a more cautious approach. They do not want to cut rates too fast. And yeah, that's pretty much the reason why we are seeing selling over the past few days. So let's take a look at the markets right now one by one and see, could there actually be a good opportunity? What are the lower support levels that have came out where we could see some bargain hunting again? So let's dive into some of the key levels for the Dow Jones right now. So this is the Dow Jones at about 42,326 points. You can see that since last year for the Dow Jones, we actually have been in a pretty strong uptrend, right? Just by looking at the 100 days moving average, the red and the blue lines, you can see both of them were sloping up gently. Only somewhere around end of last year we started to accelerate and see the uptrend form up much clearly. So that was a longer term trend. Of course, in the short term, we can see some weakness here and there. Of course, there's some bearish signals that came out right over the past year, and you can see that over the past 3 weeks, right, we actually headed to this very key resistance level. Well, this level is none other than the 45,000. 45,000 is key. You can see we traded there for about 2 weeks, couldn't go above it, came down, retraced back down, and over the past few days, we got a new bearish signal coming out. So what does all this signal mean? Well, if you want to find out a little bit more in terms of the entire strategy, I call it the one good trend strategy. I take one of those free webinars. I'll not talk too much about it, but essentially we have an indicator to guide us on entry and exit, to get in, to get out. All right, you can see for Dow Jones, you can see, right, a bearish signal. You can see started to sell down from August last year all the way to November. We got a bullish signal start ramping all the way up, and of course bearish signal came down. Another bullish signal in August went all the way up, and yeah, of course right now over the past 2 days we got a new bearish signal. So can we see some weakness in the short term? Well, the answer is yes, right? Potentially yes, because we may have broken support levels. Let me just turn this on and show you what I mean. So we might have broken what we call a trailing support level. So this is what we call a trailing support that follows the prices of the stock or like the market. If it moves up, and if you go down below the trailing support, like what we saw over the past few days, then not so good. We might start to see a potential retracement back down in terms of the short-term weakness. So even though the longer-term trend looks strong, as I mentioned, right, the 100 days and the 200 days moving average, the red and blue line you see, they are both pointing up, right? But it doesn't mean that in the short term we cannot go down. I mean, we can still go down in the short term, but the key here is that where do we head to, right? Do we head all the way down? Do we head down to the next support level by some bargain hunting and come back and to give you an opportunity to maybe time your entry to get it, right? So I think that is what will happen right now. We might start to see a little bit of a pullback. So let me just turn this off and see what are some of the potential new support levels whereby we can head to. So I think this very key support is key right over here. That will be the 40 40,000. You can see 40,000 would be what we call a psychological support level. All right, this is where, when we broke above this 40,000 in August, we started to push up even faster, 40 to 45, right? And right now, I think support can come in, and you can see, right, this is also where the 200 days moving average line is as well. The 100 days moving average line is here as well. So I think anything from 40,000. So I'm not saying that you would definitely go to 40,000, but if it does hit to near 40,000, it could be 41, it could be 40.5, 41.5, right? But anything near 40 to 41, or maybe even 42. Okay, let me just go ahead and draw another support level right here. You can see a little bit of a resistance, right? We broke above the resistance and it became a support, respected the support, got another bullish signal here, went up. So I think around that 40,000 to maybe 41,500, I think that's potentially where some bargain hunting might come back again in the Dow Jones. It could be good levels, right, to to perhaps time your entry to accumulate on dips as he hit these support levels right over here. So it could be anything right in this range. I think that's potentially where some support can come back. So let's take a look at the S&P 500 index, right? The index that tracks the top 500 companies in the US, right? Very popular index. Let's see where we are right now. You can see a pretty bearish candle yesterday when the market sold up by more than 2-3%. We broke down the psychological 6,000 support. So you can see that over the past 1 month, right, we actually headed to this 6,100, right? It was a resistance level where we touched a couple of times, came back down. Of course, yesterday we broke down the 6,000 psychological support. You can see we have a bearish signal coming out from a one good trend indicator, right? So in terms of the indicator, you can see that we had a couple of bullish indicators. One came out in November, right? There was a bearish one, bearish came down some more, and then November last year, bullish signal all the way up, a bearish one came back down. So that's where you could guide you on entry or exit, or maybe to guide you to get out, especially if you see like a bearish signal, something like this, right? You can see that over the past 1 day, we had a bearish signal. So can we see actually more selling happening in the next 1 or 2 weeks, or in the short term? Well, we may actually see that because we got this bearish signal coming out by breaking this 6,000 psychological support level. So I think in the short term we can see weakness, right? Maybe towards the next support level, and where could that be? So you can see, right, for the S&P 500 index, right, the longer term trend looks good, right? As I mentioned, you can take a look at the 100 days, the red line, and the 200 days moving average. Both of these two lines are pointing up, all right? But it doesn't mean that in the short term we cannot see weakness like this, right? Or maybe like this. We can also see weakness, in the short term as it moves up in the longer term uptrend. Does it make sense? All right, so where can we head to? Whereby, we might see some bargain hunting coming back again, and maybe we see like a new bullish signal coming out, like over here again or over here again. That could lead us to get that into the reversal. Does it make sense? All right, so where can these bullish signals comes out? Where could be the next support level? So I think some good support can come out in the longer term around this very key level, somewhere around the 5,800. I think that could be a temporary support level, but we will holding just above there somewhere in October. But I think a more stable, firmer support level could be right over here, maybe somewhere around the 5,400 to 5,500. You can see that somewhere in September, we broke above the resistance, came back down, retested, and we started to surge up even higher. So I think 5,004, 5,005 to even 5,006. So I'm not saying that you would definitely go there, but in the short term, we may hit to those levels, right? And that's where the longer term moving averages are. So I can see the red and the blue line are right over here. So we may hit to those levels, stabilize a little bit, consolidate, some support come back, some buying pressure comes back. Who knows, right? We may see a new bullish signal that could lead us to get back in, and this is where the reversal can actually start to happen. But take note, right? Anything near 6,000 to 6,001, selling can return again. Okay, let's move on to the next index, and that would be the Nasdaq, right? The index that tracks the top technology companies in the US. So you can see quite a heavy sell down yesterday as well, but surprisingly, we did not have a bearish signal coming out. So you can see, right? By the way, guys, as I mentioned, right, if you want to find out a little bit more on how you can have access to like an indicator like this, all right, to guide you on entry and exit, bullish, bearish signals to get out, attend one of those free webinars. The link is right below the video. Click on it, register for free webinar, whereby I'll share with you a little bit more on the entire one good trend strategy, and also how perhaps you can have an indicator like this after understanding the concept first behind. All right, so let's take a look at the Nasdaq. You can see right over here, a couple of bullish signals in November pump, right? Another in January this year. Look at this, all the way up. Very strong bullish signals coming out and it started moving up. Of course, the trend was up as well in the longer term. In the short term, we did see a couple of selling in the short term. Look at this, right? A bearish signal comes out, start going down. All right, and most recent bullish signal was somewhere around here, right? That was in September. So September all the way to like December, almost 2-3 months, right? You can see that it just goes up and up and up, right? And right now, still no bearish signal. Well, let me go to see if I can turn on this trailing support level and see what it says. You can see, right, we are still kind of like holding above this green trailing support level that follows prices as it moves up, that follows this Nasdaq index, right, as it moves up. So you can see, right, we're right just above it. So I think if you were to go below that 19,300 today or tomorrow over the next 2 days, well, we may actually see a bearish signal coming out. So we are very close. We're right there because this trading support do give some allowance in terms of of the volatility of the index as well. So if we go below it, well, not so good. That's where a bearish signal can comes out, right? So let me just go to turn this off and you see, right? So right now 19,392 for the Nasdaq. So if we go to go below, as I mentioned, below 19,300 or what, well, we may see selling, a bearish signal comes out. Next support level, we may see bargain hunting coming back again, maybe around that 18,500 or maybe, right, just the 18,000. 18,000 would be, of course, a much formal support level. That was where we saw selling right over here in August. Same thing in September, we saw selling, and finally in October, pump, we broke above it and retested this same resistance and support and see went all the way up. So yeah, we may potentially head towards the 18,000, all right, 18,000, 18,500, or maybe to 19,000 as well. I think potentially that's where some bargain hunting can come back again, all right. We might see a bit of consolidation. Hopefully we get a new bullish signal around there, all right, after the bearish signal comes out, right, then that could guide us to get in again, to ride the reversal, and eventually this is a key level you want to take note of, the 20,000, right? This 20,000 psychological resistance. You can see, right, we actually attempted to go above it, but yeah, over the past few days, with this Federal Reserve coming out and saying that they want to slow down the pace of rate cuts, well, definitely that is a kind of like a bearish thing, right? So we have pushed back down below the 20,000 psychological resistance. So anything near 20,000, I think that's where some profit taking can come back again. Okay, this is the Singapore Straits Times Index, the STI, 3,760. You can see, right, for the STI, not much of a sell down over the past few days because we did not really push up that much as well. All right, but I would say somewhere in like August this year, we saw a pretty good bullish signal. Look at this, right, a bullish signal. The short-term trend started to turn up as well, and look at the rally all the way up, right, from about 3,003 to 3,760. So a recent bullish signal in August till now, that there is still no like bearish one coming out. Like what do we mean by bearish one? That would be like a bearish signal, whereby we saw a selling over here. So yeah, still no bearish signal. So I think it looks pretty good still. The longer term trend, all right, in terms of the upwards direction, looks intact, red above the blue. In the short term, you can see that the 20 days moving average was like up, flattened out a little bit as it consolidates here and started to point up. Right now, I would say that the 20 days moving average line is starting to flatten out. So a bit of a consolidation, I would say, for the Straits Times Index, right? So where would the consolidation phase be in terms of the support and the resistance level? Let me just draw it for you. I think right now, this 3,700 would be a pretty key support level since like November. For more than a month we have been holding above it. Look at this, right, near it, rebounded, came back down. Now it seems like we are 3,760, so nearing the 3,007, whereby some bargain hunting can come back again. What about the resistance level? Let me just go to draw another resistance level, maybe around that 3,850, 3,850. Well, that was where we were about 3 weeks back, and then we saw a pretty bearish candle and then started to pull back down. So I think, yeah, 3,007 to 3,850, that is kind of like the range for the STI, right? Anything above 3,007, I think it still looks pretty good, right? We might just be consolidating in the short term, of hopefully attempting to break the 3,850 soon, and that's where targets could be revised all the way to 4,000. So longer term uptrend intact. We got a bullish signal that is still playing out. All right, let me go to turn on the trailing support and resistance. You can see right over here. Yeah, I can see, right? So this is the trailing support that follows the market as it moves up. All right, as long as we stay above it, great. Okay, so almost, right? Still above it, above it. Right now, we're still kind of like above it. So if we go below 3007, then not so good. That's where we might actually push below the trailing support line. All right, and that's where we may even see a bearish signal. But so far, it still looks pretty okay. So there we have it, guys. I hope you have enjoyed the quick analysis of the markets, the Dow Jones, S&P 500 Index, Nasdaq, and of course Singapore's STI as well. And you now know where are some of the next support levels whereby we could potentially see some bargain hunting coming back again, right? So as I mentioned, in the short term, we may see weakness, but if it does approach these support levels, it stabilizes, there are signs of strength coming back again, but it could be a good opportunity to get back in on dips to ride the reversal, all right? So don't miss out on this attractive opportunity. Right, so Joey here. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do like this video, you found some value, go ahead to give me a like, right? Smash the subscribe button, hit the follow button so that you will not miss out on any videos like this, and that will definitely help out the channel as well. And as I mentioned, right, if you want to find out a little bit more on the entire strategy, the one good trend strategy, and how perhaps you could have like an indicator like this to guide you to get in if you see like a bullish signal, or maybe to get out if you see like a bearish signal, attend one of those free webinars. The link is right below the video. I'll see you soon.